Hi and welcome to Studio 19 Digitals. Are you ready to turn a bunch of scraps and some old receipts into a beautiful snippet roll with a few decorations? And you can create pockets and page wraps and all sorts of bits and pieces from this in your journals. So let's get started. So I've made this one, if you look on the back, from some adding machine rolls and scrap paper. If you don't have an adding machine roll like this, an old one, you can just use your shopping receipts or cut up some scrap paper. Whatever you've got will work. I'm using just a glue stick, and these are just paper scraps that I've been left with after making some projects from the paper kit. So to join your strips, if you're using shopping strips, you want them to stay straight. I just use my board, pop some glue onto the back of one end and line it up on a line just to make sure your strip stays roughly straight so you don't have to trim it or waste any of it. And join, and you can just keep joining bits of paper until you're happy with that. Okay, so let's just start by, we'll use the back side. Just grabbing a piece of paper that you've got. I've just got a bit of baking paper to glue. I'm just going to start by gluing a piece on. At this stage, glue stick is fine if you've got a good glue stick, or you can use your own glue of preference. So just pop that on, and things can be hanging over. So for example, that bit's hanging over the back. That's fine, we'll trim it down later. And then just pick up a piece that you're happy with. I like to just tear them. A lot of the torn edges will be hidden anyway. And just start adding your glue strips on. Make sure I have that torn bit showing there. And you can work randomly over the page, so for example gluing one here and here, or you can build it up and have it layered. I'm going to go for the layered, more layered look. This bit's one of those pieces that I cut off from the coin envelope video, which I'll link below, so you don't waste anything in your kit at all. So you just continue gluing your bits of paper down, cut things down if they're too big, and save any of the littler pieces. I'll show you what I mean. So anything that's really, for example this bit here, really skinny, I would save that, and then once we start the second process, you can glue that on top to add more interest. So use your other pieces first, and then we'll add those little skinny bits. This is another bit from the coin envelope, so we'll add those skinny pieces later. And I try not to make things too lined up. You want that sort of, all these edges here are all not lining up and uneven. That's the way I prefer, but you do you. So I'm just going to keep gluing pieces down, and I'll come back and show you my progress when I finish this strip of paper. So let me show you what's on my desk today, and this is for the second layer. So I've grabbed some different punches. These are great for the scraps that you've got left over. There's a couple of different washi tapes that might work, quite small. There's these vellum stickers, and just be aware that you need to add some wet glue. I use glitter glue on the back of those because they will peel off. I've got some stamps here. These are from the kit. Some of them are cut with zigzag scissors and some not. I've got a couple of glue sticks, wet glue, glitter glue, and a glue stick. I've got some inking. I've got some gold foil tape. Gold foil that I use with glue stick to put on. This is just a wrapper that came around something or other. I've got a couple of different liquid pearls that will go with the colours. I've cut out some of the washi tape, and on the back of them I've put double-sided tape. I've got some stickers cut out from the kit, and I've inked those. I've got some die cuts. There's a few different types of scrap paper that I might use. I've got some words and number stickers that might run really well. I've got just a couple of scraps of lace and sari silk. I've got the labels from the kit that have been printed onto paper at 2 and 4 images per page. Sorry, there you go. To get different sizes. The circles that I've cut out. I've got some die cuts. These are a couple of just scrappy paper punches that I've used to get a few different things. I've torn up some text paper, the borders, and some music paper to use, and I think that's about it, ready for the second layer. Of course, you can add anything that you've got at home, just give it a try. Alright, I did just record a whole lot of adding ephemera, and the camera has switched off on me, so let me just show you what I've added, and I'll try and explain a few pieces as I go. So when I've added, for example, this piece of fabric here, I've crossed the join where that paper joins onto there. The same with this element. I've tried to cross seams. I've added small pieces of all of the collection that I showed you. I've cut some things in half and added them to the border. Added little bits of lace, the stamps. These are the die cuts, the circles that I've cut out, labels. So you can see that a lot of the seams where the paper's joined have disappeared. I've added some fabric, die cuts, lots of bits and pieces, some stickers, and it's not completely finished. That's that one. So that was the one on the adding machine roll that I just randomly glued the first layer down. This is the stamped one, the inked one. So you can see that a lot of the inking, some of the inking still shows. I haven't quite finished, but you can see the inked edge, and it does make a difference, so it's a matter of preference. But let me just show you a few of the bits and pieces I've got on there. And this one was the one with the adding machine, with the receipts, and I've just added some bits and pieces there. Then what I do next is I'm going to use some of this. This is the gold foil. It just comes on a roll like this, and you can buy it in flat sheets as well. I'm just going to use some glue stick, and I'm just using the side of the glue stick to add a little bit of glue, and then rub the gold foil on. I just use the back of my fingers, and it just gives you a little bit, a hint of gold. See if the camera will pick that up. Just a hint of gold across there. So I'm going to go through and add a little bit of that in places where it's pretty blank. And sometimes when you use this in the same spot, it doesn't lift off, so just pick it up and move it, because the glue will stay damp for a little bit. So I hope you can see. There's the gold along there. So I'm just going to add little bits and pieces of gold. And then the last thing I'll add is the liquid pearls, and then I'll take a look at it and see if I want to keep adding anything more. So I'm trying to go across, these are the 1, 2, 3 pieces. I'm trying to sort of go across the seams, and that ties everything in together. got a little bit of gold, needs a bit more. I'll put some through here. So I'm tying across those two pieces of paper. Just need to keep winding that glue stick up a little bit. And it's just another way. What the aim is to try and not hide the seams, but make it all sort of come together. And so the more elements cross the seam, the more cohesive the whole finished piece becomes. I'm going to go across that way. So I'm crossing this piece of paper, that piece of paper, and the one under it. And it's a little bit more down this end. So I'm going to cross this piece of paper, that piece of paper, and across, just to try and tie that bit together. You can always add stuff on top of this. I just do one area at a time, otherwise I can't see where I've glued. Okay, so I hope you can pick that up on the camera. The gold. So there's that piece. And then this, so that was the shopping receipts. This is the inked one, so I'll try and put them together, see if the camera can pick the two of them up together. So the inked one is down here. And you see that it does make a little bit of a difference. So it's worth it if you like that look. So that's the top one is not inked on the first layer and the bottom one is inked. And this is the one that I did on the adding machine roll, so I'll show you that. And then what I do with the liquid pearls, we'll just finish this one piece off. So I just sort of have a look at what's going to work out of these colours with this piece. And you want contrast. I'm going for contrast. So for example, there is a fair bit of blue one here, so I could pop some blue down in this corner. And you can just smear this. So again, crossing elements. So I want to cross this piece, that piece, and that piece. So you can just smear and drag a little bit. It doesn't have to be neat, and put another low row beside it. And the same up here. I'm going to cross these two pieces up here. And I like to do things in threes, so I'll cross these two pieces just to tie those together. Actually, I'll try and do 3 pieces. I'll do with that one. Then this one, which one was this? Was the brass in the liquid pearls. So I'm just going to add a little bit. I might add, just be careful, don't smear. I might add a couple of little dots down on the butterfly. I might add a few dots over here on the label. In both corners, that might look nice. Nothing too perfect. And some over here on this purpley spot. And just sort of go through and have a look and see what you want to add. I might keep adding a little bit more of this. I like this colour. And a little bit down here. So you can see I have not tried to be too neat, too perfect. Just popped it on. So I would leave that aside for a little while. The last thing I might do is just ink the edges when those have dried, but that's getting close to finish. You can keep building on it. These ones I'll do the same, and I'll just put some shots of it when I've got them all done. I'll add some images so that you can see the differences. And then this was the original one that I showed you, the template. I've added some words and things to these ones, and some little stamped butterflies and some text. So I might finish these ones off with a little bit of torn and inked text and note paper and a few words, and I'll show you the finished product. So here's the finished product. Let me show you quickly what I've done here. Hopefully you can pick this all up. So roll slowly through. And that's one piece. And if you make them all the same length, it's easy to join them up together so you don't waste any of it. You can see I've added a few words, and there's lots of gold and little bits and pieces of liquid pearls, and this is the original one. So basically, as you're working through the projects, just keep popping your scraps aside, and you know, these are a great way to use them. So that's those, and then what do you do with them? Well, let me show you a journal, and I'll just show you a couple of ways I've used them. So this is just a page that was too wide for the journal, so I've added a little strip of it there. I've just cut one of them in down the middle, and you could also glue either end to make that a tuck spot. So that's one idea. Then we've got just a little pocket here with a couple of tags from the kit that go in there. That's another way. This one is just making a page tab, so I've used my whale tail tab punch just to use those. Be careful with your punches, depending on how thick you've made your snippet roll. Just be careful you don't jam up your punches. There's just using a circular punch just to add a little decorative element. You could also have just glued half of that down and make that a little tuck if you wanted. And here's just a belly band with a couple of things tucked in it. That's the other half of the one that I did on the half page strip, the other half of that. So there's just a few ways to use them, but they are very versatile, so have a go.